Welcome to Shanky Garage. This is part 2 of the roof repairs video. So in this one I will be focusing on the gutter section, and I actually decided to delete the gutters and make it nice and smooth. So continue watching to find out how I done it. So today's episode we're going to finish off repairing the roof section on the 1-tonner cab. So this section here and then also on the other side. So the sheet metal folder has arrived from eBay. So this one was 230 bucks. And it basically goes in a vise, so you can clamp it in a vise, and then once you're not using it, you can put it underneath the bench out of the way. So yeah, it should be good enough for what I want to use it for. So just back to the cab, I have just put this door back on just to give a good reference, so I can basically join up this curve to the door, because I do plan on shaving off these gutters and making it nice and smooth. So I think what I'll do next is continue just cutting from this line all the way along, and then I can cut these gutter sections out. They should be spot welded, so I should be able to just cut along here and then just drill out the spot welds all the way along to pull them gutters out. So that gutter section is all cut out and I've just grinded it nice and flat. I've also just cut out this piece of 1.2mm sheet, and I'll start folding this up to basically weld into here. So them pieces are bent up, so what I did have to do was basically cut this piece in half and bend them in half sections, just because it was too long for that particular pan brake that I bought. Yeah, it just wasn't bending in the middle. It was probably just, it's a cheap and nasty pan brake, and it just didn't really work for this long sort of section to bend. So yeah, it was easier to bend it in half sections. So I'll be able to just weld that join in the middle there. So yeah, that's all looks pretty good. Sort of fits in there nice. So what I will also do is basically trim this section back to here, so then I can join from here to here and get that nice curve of the roof. So I've just trimmed this piece up and drilled in holes for the spot welds. I've just got that sitting in there with the clamp, so that's ready to weld in. So yeah, I'll tack it in and then I can weld this other piece. So I've also just sprayed the weld through primer on here, so that's going to protect this surface and once I weld this in. So that piece is all welded in now, so pretty happy with how that's turned out. So that is nice and square with the door. So the next step will be to weld in these sections of the roof. So what I think I'll do is I'll do it in, say, 4 sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That way it's just going to be a lot easier to get everything lined up and get this curve right, rather than doing it with one piece. It's going to be too hard to line everything up with the one piece. And then also once you weld in, say, this first section, you can kind of get up in between there, and if you need to, like, lift it up in areas, and you can get up underneath there. So if you just done it in one piece, you wouldn't be able to get in behind. So yeah, so I'll start cutting some patches out and we'll start welding them in. Okay, so I've just made up this first piece. I just used a cardboard template and then cut out the piece of steel, and then I've just hammered it with a hammer and dolly to try and get that curve. So it was a bit of a prick to try and get that curve right, and then also there's you can see that little piece there, so I needed to try and get that to follow this line here. And then you won't really see in there too much just because of the trim that goes on the outside here, but still wanted to get that to follow and meet up pretty nicely. So yeah, basically I'll start welding this in, and then this piece, this bit here, once this is welded in, then I can kind of tap this down to meet flush with this here. So to get the curve in a patch piece like this, I've just found that the way that works for me is just using a ball peen hammer and a dolly with a curve on it, and basically, yeah, just tap the piece. So if you want the curve to curve out like so, you hit the back side of the piece and just sort of just work your way along like that, tapping in the one spot, just move the piece like that, and that sort of just gets that nice curve. So it does leave a few little dent marks, but you can't really see it too much on the backside, and you know, the high fill primer and maybe a little bit of body filler will, you know, fix that anyway. Okay, so that is the second patch welded in. So far pretty happy with how that's turned out. That curve follows the roof there, so yeah, just got 2 more patches to go, so I'm about halfway. It definitely takes a bit of time to get these curves right and get everything lined up, but yeah, better to take the time and get it done properly. Otherwise, yeah, if you don't get the curve right, it's just probably going to look like shit. So okay, so that's patch number 3 tacked in there, and I've just made up this last patch and it's just about ready to tack in. So you can see that it's got this cutout section, so that's going to weld directly to here, and then the rest will be butt welded in. I'll probably leave this lead wiping in there, and with this little section here, I might either try and fill it with weld as best as I can, or yeah, a little bit of a layer of body filler can go in there. So that is all the patches tacked in. Started welding a few little spots here, but basically I can go around and start welding it all together. I do have the air blower that I'm going to use, so basically I'll do inch pieces at a time, work my way around, and then just use the air blower to cool it off. Just don't want to get too much heat into it. It does feel pretty strong, but yeah, just don't want to take that chance. So she's all welded up, all seems pretty good. It doesn't seem to be any major warpage. There's a couple of little areas that there seems to be like a load there, but other than that, it's pretty good. So I'll start grinding all them welds back and yeah, see what she looks like. Okay, so that is all grinded back, and I've just worked it with the hammer and a dolly, so I was able to come up underneath just with this spoon type dolly, and just sort of worked it and smoothed it out a bit. There's still, it's not perfect still, but the body filler should take care of the rest. So what I will do, I'll just put some etch primer on it just to protect it for now. So I thought I'd start wire wheeling these rear corner sections here. I suspected that there was going to be some dodgy stuff going on in there, and I was pretty much right. So all this area was full of bog. There's like a dent here. This bit here was rusted. I've sort of cleaned that up a little bit, but that was just jam-packed full of bog. Just here, so there's been some rust happening here, and I've just put this sort of araldite, real hard stuff to cover that up. So that's going to need cutting out and new bits welded in there. And this little bit here, that won't be too bad. It'll just be a little simple patch. All around here looks pretty good. This section here all looks pretty good, but you can see that there's been rust happening here, and that's sort of gone on to the other side of that section as well. And that was basically just jam-packed full of bog. So I had to pretty much get the screwdriver and sort of tap it out, chisel it all out to get all that bog out of there. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a prick to try and repair this one. I don't know how I'm going to tackle this at this stage. There's multiple layers in there, and it's just going to be really sort of tight, intricate area to try and get into to repair. So you can also see that this is all sort of dented in, and there's dents all along here, and there's a pretty sort of thick layer of bog there that goes, not sure if that's going to go along sort of this whole section or not, but yeah, for a start, I guess I'm gonna have to start repairing these on both sides. So I've just cut out a few sections out of this left-hand rear of the cab. So I've just cut out these two sections here. So I'll have to make up new patches to weld in there. So I'll have to weld this piece in first, and then this piece can go over the top with a 90 degree, and then that can be welded in. At the same time, I've cut this section out, and I've actually squared up this section. So this piece here sort of curved around like so, but what I've done is I've sort of bent it back, welded it to here, and then that basically, yeah, follows this line. It's nice and square, and then I've made up this patch to go basically weld in there, and then that's gonna smooth out that whole section there. So that's all welded in. I've just sprayed some etch primer on there just to protect it. So it will need probably a little bit of body filler, there's a couple of lows here, but yeah, all in all, it's pretty good. And just this line here, it's a little bit wonky, but just a bit of body filler should sort of clean that up a little bit. So that's the etch primer put on there, and she's all dried. So pretty bloody happy with how that's turned out. Looks nice and smooth, and it's all steel again, not full of bog anymore. So yeah, nice and strong again, looks smooth, pretty stoked. Definitely took a long time to get that right. Probably took about 2 days, 2 full solid days to get that done, but I think it's worth it. So still got the other side to do, but I probably won't bother filming this. I'll probably leave the episode at that, and I'll just smash this out. There's no point filming this and showing you doing this side. It's gonna be literally exactly the same anyway. So I'll get that done next few days. I've also got this bit here to finish off, fixing the rust. And then on this side, just got these little patches to weld in there. So yeah, the cab's finally nearly there. It's been a long slog to get this cab pretty much rust free and ready to sandblast. So once I get the other side done and then a few other repairs at the back, I'm going to send it to the sandblaster, get it all sandblasted, and then coat it with the epoxy. Okay, so that's it for today's video, guys. So hope you enjoyed that and got something out of it. So I'm coming up to 750 subscribers, so pretty bloody wrapped with the amount of support so far with the channel and the growth that it is growing. So big thank you to you guys for supporting the channel. So the next milestone will be 1,000 subscribers. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys could hit the subscribe button if you aren't subscribed already, and maybe even share the channel on Facebook or amongst your friends, and just help me get the word out there to help grow the channel. So yeah, we'll leave it with that, and we'll see you next time on Shanky Garage. Cheers, guys.